exporter, and I think India is going through the same stages. As the Thai costs, labor costs went up, and production shifted to China, Thais did not blink at all. They just leveraged their artistic creativity, and they started their own design houses, and now they manufacture their own brands. And this was a lesson which Thailand learned with a very great deal of difficulty. And I think there are here a significant number of you who are involved in textiles and garments and export. I think it might be a very good idea for you to tap into the Thai designers and to tap them into, tap their designs so that you can move in the next step, the next stage of the chain. So when you do go there, and if you do go there, look for the synergies that you can get. Not only this is what we make and this is what we are going to sell, but what is available there. Thailand has free trade agreements with a large number of countries, which means that imported parts and components are very easy to import. They are generally cost effective, and that might give a boost to your competitiveness, to your productivity. Simply, you don't need to go to China to source Chinese components. You don't need to go to Taiwan to source Taiwanese components. These manufacturers are there in Thailand, and they will help you source from their group companies and so on. So go there with an open mind. And if I may add a word of advice here, a lot of Indian companies who go there with this superior attitude of arrogance. ASEAN is a very competitive market. There are more automotive manufacturers in Thailand than there are in many, many countries. So I think as experienced by Tata Motors, in the first year they announced a target of 5,000 pickup trucks. Their annual sale, I think, was close to 100. In the same market, Thailand is the world's largest pickup truck market. Toyota and Isuzu regularly sell 130,000 vehicles per year. So don't go with a superior attitude that we come from a very large country. Go there with an open mind. There are a lot of opportunities there for the taking. It's very important, I think, for me to talk about one small thing here. I consult for Chinese manufacturers, and for the last couple of years, I have had some Chinese companies come to me and say, we need help. We need help because, and I'll give you an example of one of the companies I was advising. They make electrical appliances, and they are outsourced manufacturers for very well-known brands, for Molinex and for Tefal, and literally hundreds of brands. And the Chinese, this manufacturer is saying to me, we need help. We can't survive. We can't survive because every year, these companies for whom we manufacture, whose brands we manufacture, come to us and they squeeze us. And they have been squeezing us continuously for the last 10 years. And we've come to a moment we are not making any money. What is the alternative? They asked me to help them seek direct relations with retailers. So my question to them was, well, if you don't want to be squeezed by the brand owner, don't assume that the retailer is not going to squeeze you. So either ways, it's a tough environment. And I think many of you here in India, because we are just sort of starting on a very high pace of growth, will find that there is no shortage of orders. But remember that when you are supplying to someone else, then they play the game. They will pit one against the other, and you can just go on supplying, and eventually you realize that your profitability is declining, your margins are declining. And that choice maybe is a little better, the situation is a little better if you are selling your own finished goods and not using someone else or not being an outsourced manufacturer for someone else. But here's another example which they say if if you get a letter from Walmart, don't open it. It's bad news. Assume that Walmart says to you, congratulations, we are happy to sell your product. It's bad news, because you will now spend the next 10 years losing your hair. If it's not turning white, then you are losing it. Trying to find ways in how you can cut costs, maintain the quality, and cut costs, and cut, and so on. So if a large retailer says, congratulations, we are happy to sell your product, it's a tough situation. What is worse? If they say, we are sorry, we don't want to sell your product, because now you are shut out from the market. You can't take your products to your customers because the middlemen, these retailers, if they don't sell it. I think many of you will face this in India, and if you come to Thailand or go out, particularly for small, medium manufacturers, you will face this from the retailers. Be ready to be squeezed. I mean, I can go on, I consult companies on marketing. I can go on for most of the night giving you examples on how the retailers find ways in which they completely detach themselves from the producer's cost or profit model. There is no reason to fear. I think the greater reason is to go out and to look for these companies and to get used to them. Because the bigger danger, to my mind, is if the small manufacturers don't go out. That is the bigger danger. Because don't think even for a moment that India is growing and therefore you are safe. India is growing, that is a certainty. But with that comes a very big risk, because now everyone is looking here. It's very easy, believe me, and we have seen this in Thailand, to be squeezed out of your own market by foreign suppliers. The only way to tackle this is you go out into their markets and then you compete with them. If you stay and you think staying is safe, you will face significant problems. So there's a lot that can be said, and there's a lot that I can add to what I have already said. But I think we have a diverse group here, and I don't want to go into too many specifics. What I would say to you is keep an open mind and look. And this is the time to look east. Look at ASEAN. It's a very interesting market. Particularly, it's an interesting market because there is a lot of potential in these countries. If you look at Indonesia, it's just opening up. Philippines now has a government, I think, which is after many decades where the government has a significant majority. Following very close behind are countries like Vietnam. Vietnam actually is ahead. And then there is Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar. So not only are you assured of a market at the present, I would say you are assured of a market for the next several decades to come. There is also a very significant level of resilience in this market. Thailand has gone from being the world's fastest growing economy in less than 2 decades to negative growth and then moving upwards. And there are very, very interesting, significant lessons to be learned on how they have coped, because it continues to be a really dynamic country. So in the end, what I can say to you is don't hesitate. Look out. Go out. There are a lot of opportunities. I help a lot of companies. People often ask me, and this is one of the reasons why I made this trip here. I was asked a very interesting question. They said, you've helped European companies, you have helped Chinese companies, and you have helped Thai companies, and you haven't done anything for Indian companies. And I said, okay, maybe this is a good time and this is a good opportunity. So if you are looking at any more information or more guidance about the ASEAN market, please get in touch with the organizers and maybe we can help you take the next step. Thank you very much.
President Tamil Nadu Small and Tiny Industries Association, Vice President Federation of Indian Micro and Small and Medium Enterprise, to honor a very, very special speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a big, big round of applause for Ratish Thakur, Rector, Webster University of Thailand. Well, should I say, the man who's going to take us all the way down to the ASEAN and help us do business, Ratish Thakur, Rector, Webster University. That's one of the panel members. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a big round of applause? We would also like to welcome the man who knows so much about automobile and cars, Rajiv Vasan, Vice President, Honda Seal Cars India Limited. It is also a pleasure to welcome on stage Shri K. Ilangovan. Would like to tell you he is also the conclave convener, Joint Managing Director, RSM Autocast Limited. Sir, we would like you to join us on stage. Thank you. We would also like to invite on stage, ladies and gentlemen, the Vice Chairman of Intech 2010, Mr. D. Gandhi Kumar. He is also the President of Tamil Nadu Small and Tiny Industries Association, Vice President Federation of Indian Micro and Small and Medium Enterprise. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a big round of applause. And finishing as one of the last members of the panel discussion, we would also like to welcome on stage the President of Kodisha, ladies and gentlemen, who has been a super support. He's also the Managing Director of Ananda Fabrication, Mr. Kandasamy. Welcome, sir. And to the man who knows everything well, we will leave the chairman of the panel discussion, Dr. G. Raghunathan, to initiate the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It is a privilege to be here in this evening on the Global Manufacturing Vision discussions. I would like to thank Kodisha and Texas Ventures for giving this opportunity. I also would like to thank Texas Ventures to bring this theme for discussion for the third time here in Coimbatore. We, the industrialists of Coimbatore, are really indebted, and our sincere thanks for the teamwork that has been going on to bring the best of the speakers and to give the views which are differing and congruent certain times, and from the different industry segments that have come in. I think that throws up a plethora of opportunities for every one of us. Let's see at the end of the day today what we have got to carry on with us. I know as employers or employees, we have got a lot of questions to be answered. Maybe this will be a session in which we will look at specific answers to the questions that each of the delegates will have here. I've been given with a brief by Texas Ventures as future manufacturing trends. 17 of them has been given. I have just shortlisted 4 of them for throwing it open to you for a discussion. When I talk about trends, I'd like to just equate it with the length of the sleeve what a woman wears. As the time goes by, the lengths change, and we call it as a different trend. If that is a little crude about the trend, let's look at a thing that we buy, automotive. There have been 2 shapes of automotive, not many. One is a box type design, other one is a curved design, that's it. Starting from Ford T, maybe 110 years ago, to today's A-Star or the latest one launched in India, automotive got only the 2 shapes. And for unknown reasons, we keep buying the next model. We got the curved design, we go to square design as its latest trend, and from the square we go to curved, saying that it is the latest trend. That's it. I would like to make it so simple that is trend is about. After all, India and China have been guiding the whole world as the economic and trade powers just 700 years ago, not very long ago. I think the opportunity has come now. It is definitely a good moment. Every speaker has to refer that. It was referred here, where Mr. Thakur mentioning from brick to big to finally to Chindia to Chindonesia. India is common there. We could easily see that we are going to be there. quoting from the economist headed by Mr. Gurumurthy. Other day we had him here in Coimbatore. We are going to be number 3 in economic trend, economic superpower in the next 3 years. Are we ready as a nation? Are we ready? That is the question asked. Today we saw Mr. Manikam mentioning that we are going to be number 3 by 2050. Whether be it is 2020 or 2050, the direction is clear. The trend is clear. That is why Texas Ventures took the topic that how are we going to position ourselves for the future. So there lies the question, and it is there in, as the topmost and uppermost in minds of every one of us here. Let me just read through the trends, the 4 of them, what I thought is relevant for today. The first one is focused manufacturers are today's profit champions. Then that is, if that is the case, what is the trend for next decade? That is 2020. The second trend, important what I was mentioned there, is Asia will grow less than the Eastern Europe or the NAFTA countries over the next 5 years. I think it is an important message that comes in there. That is from the research team of Texas Ventures. Third one is industry-wide profits over the business cycles are too low for SMEs. We all have been seeing it. It is the top line is growing, but the bottom line is not growing. In fact, it is shrinking. That is a trend that is going to be. And then the fourth one is the potential for efficiency enhancement continues to lurk the administration, development, purchasing, production and sales. In short, it is the HR issues what we face. HR issue means just in terms of numbers, not in terms of quality. So these being the 4 important trends what has come out, there is also a message about how a few of the other countries do it. Predominantly what China has done has been given to me in the brief. A Hong Kong-based Mamtech International has opened a facility in Moberly with guarantee that they will create 600 jobs in US. There is a promise from Anji Yuan Key Furniture Company of US to start a plant at Marion and promising 100 jobs there. There is another venture from a China-based Tianjin Pipe Corporation setting up a facility at Gregory at Texas, guaranteeing 600 jobs. If that is the trend, we also have seen what the Indian companies have done it. It is needless to mention that Tatas and metals have gone into Europe into the basic metal steel. Tata and Mahindras have gone into Korea into the automotives. Bharti has gone into Africa into communications. And our own Coimbatore-based Sakti and my friend Mr. Ilango in RSM have gone to US into the iron products. Similarly, Bharat Forge has gone into US and Europe. And we have heard Cisco's Mr. Kumarappan mentioning about Nike being made in Kanjivaram and T-shirts and trousers made here. So I think at macro level, we are clear that we are into a situation where next one is the boom. Having told that, I would like to take the message from Mr. Manikam that we cannot be just complacent. We have got a lot of opportunities, it's true. But then we should look back what has been in the recent past. I would like to say that there's a takeoff is due. The runway is, we have just crossed into the length of the runway. Let me just mention about the last 6 kilometers of the runway, what we have done. Maybe that will be a message for us to take on to position ourselves for the future. If you look at time up to 60s in the recent past, it was more of a socialism driven economy, or maybe we can call it as opportunism in a good sense, not in a bad sense. There were the decade of opportunities. We had the end of protected economy, starving for capital, aimed at basic industry related to infrastructure creation. That's what we were till 60s. 70s saw the technology era, the 10 years, technical self-sufficiency and a growth based on new technology, feeding the high-income group of our population, and customer having limited variety were the features during those 10 years in 70s. If you look at 80s, it was a period of consumerism or the period of consumers. The liberated consumers had a lot of things to question for. Feeding the middle income group was the period of business. Mobility and communications had seen the improvements. After all, we have got into the situation where we got the lowest call rates in the world for the telephone calls. And customer was considered the king at that period. Not that it is, they are not the king today, but then the prime importance was given to the customers, their likings. That was 80s. If you look at 90s, it is a period of liberalism, the 10 years. I will say that the economy was liberated as far as the country is concerned, looking for a level playing field. That's what we all questioned and requested from the industry side. We were seeking still the government support, and we were seeing the period of customer care was that. In the 5th kilometer of the runway, it was the period ending the 2010. It was era of joint ventures or the megaism. The size and volume mattered in this period. The joint ventures, the mergers and acquisitions, and the multi-location manufacturing and fruits of size built earlier were the features of this period, and world's small car market has been definitely been open for India. We are now having the small car, and which is affordable and manufacturable, designed and manufactured with our own technology. We are going to be having a period where we will be the small car makers for the whole world. Now let us look at the 6th kilometer of the runway. It is what? Period of 2020. I would like to put a guesswork there. After all, the guesswork is the good thing that we all get into. There have been wrong guesses, like IBM chief saying that the world will require only 3 computers. Now even one home requires 4 computers. There have been wrong predictions like that. But then all these predictions have guided us into a common thinking and then area of devising and defining our own techniques. So I will say that it will be the period of clustered working for the next 10 years. Sharing of capacities, which I think it has to be a thing that we have to work out the modalities. After all, we have been seeing periods where competitors cannot see eye to eye. But then that period is gone. There are engine plants manufacturing engines for competing models. You all know it. I need to repeat it here. But then we should look at definitely conserving our capital. So frugal capital outlay will be the period. Readiness for devastating changes, what it may be, whether it is by a mistake or design. If it happens, how are we going to protect ourselves from the devastating changes? And then we are going to be definitely be small and highly focused. We can definitely